Welcome to the show.
And welcome back to another episode of the AstrosFuture podcast here on the Believe Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Price, also known as AstrosFuture. You can find me at AstrosFuture.com and find me on X at AstrosFuture.
I'm your co-host, Kenny Van Doren. You can also find me on X at The Vandalorian.
Today we're joined by Astros prospect Will Bush. How you doing, Will?
I'm doing good. How are y'all doing?
Good. Appreciate you jumping on here on a day off with us.
For sure.
So, going back all the way to your college days, so you kind of had a unique route into pro ball, going into Tyler Junior College. What kind of brought you down that path to go to the JUCO route and then obviously to the draft?
So all of high school, my sophomore year during COVID and all that, I committed to a Division I, committed to play at Texas Tech, and was committed there most of high school. And then senior year rolled around. Got a few pro looks in high school, and just felt right going to JUCO. So Tyler saw me at a tournament out in Tomball, Texas, and went on a visit, and it felt right, and that was the place that I knew I needed to go. And you can get drafted after 1 or 2 years at JUCO anytime. So I never really cared much about playing at a big D1 and all that. Some guys like, playing at the big D1 level, but I just wanted to play pro ball, and I knew JUCO would be the quickest route. So decided to go JUCO, and Tyler was awesome. I couldn't have asked for a better group of guys, better coaching staff there. So I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. With a lot of people that listen and wonder, but do you feel the JUCO route was the right route for you to take?
For sure, yeah, for sure. I think it got me. I think JUCO gets you ready for pro ball better than anything. I mean, it's a grind for sure. It's a lot of baseball, but I loved it, man. Every part of it.
You talk about that going, 1 year. It was, quick turnaround. You're still a teenager when you get drafted and you sign a pro contract. But you also played in the MLB draft league. Going up to State College, Pennsylvania. I know you've been in Texas, most of your life, if not all of it. But did you feel like you grew up, so quickly over those couple months leading into the draft, and then finally, signing that contract with the Astros?
For sure, yeah. Playing up in the draft league was cool. I met a lot of guys up there that I still talk to this day. I feel like that got me ready for pro ball in the clubhouse aspect. Playing night games, sitting around in the clubhouse, hanging out with the guys all day. I definitely feel like that helped me in the clubhouse aspect a lot more like than the baseball aspect of it. I feel like that was big for me. So
this year, across the board, you've pretty much improved in every category: batting average, on base percentage, slugging, home runs. What would you kind of say is contributing to that surge offensively for you this year? And how are you? I know Asheville's a good hitter's park, but how are you also finding success on the road?
I would say honestly, obviously worked really hard this offseason, improved on a lot of things. But I would say the mentality part of it. Not getting, too high on the good days and too low on the bad days. It's gonna happen. You're gonna have rough weeks. You're gonna have good weeks, and just taking each day, learning from it and moving on to the next, whether it's a good day or bad day. Just learning, growth. That's a big part of it. I'd say the mentality side of it has been the biggest adjustment for me. From this year and the last year, just growing up mentally.
Looking at that offensive approach, and I even went back and tried to find old videos of your swing. Did you ever get comps to Kevin Youkilis? Just the way that you kind of stand on the left side, and I mean with the bat pointed pretty high. Can you kind of just walk us through, what kind of played into, how your swing came to be just over the last couple of years?
Kevin Youkilis is one that I haven't heard before. But no, I would say swing comp wise, guys that I grew up watching. I grew up watching Josh Hamilton. I mean, growing up in the DFW area, everyone wanted to be Josh Hamilton. I used to wear number 32, just like him. So kind of that the lean back, the tilt back a little bit. I can kind of see that in there. And then another guy that I've always watched is Bryce Harper. I love watching his swing. Before every game, I'll watch a slow-mo video of his swing, just kind of visualizing a little bit. So Kevin Youkilis is one that I haven't heard before. That's an interesting one. But, yeah, man, it's just, we've tweaked some things since I got into pro ball, that's for sure, because, whenever I got in, I was super squatty and low and coiled back. So we've kind of tweaked some things, and right now I'm feeling as comfortable in the box as ever. So I'm feeling good.
I'm not, Jimmy, I'm going to jump in for a second. Yeah, I'm not too much older than you, but like, I mean, to me, you see it. I mean, have you seen, Kevin Youkilis just in the way that he kind of hit from the right side?
Yeah, I grew up, watching baseball. We always had a baseball game on at the house. I don't really have like the pointed bat forward, but I can definitely see, how the bat's kind of straight up, maybe pointed a touch forward, but that's interesting.
So you were recently added to MLB Pipeline's top 30 prospects, and I don't know, do you keep up with that at all?
I did see that, but that's something like, I've always been, kind of that under the radar guy, like, first year JUCO guy, my name wasn't really out there last year, had a really good second half, kind of started to put my name out there. And then, this year's been going well. So, I've seen my name go out there a little bit, but I kind of like, being that guy that's under the radar, kind of coming from a JUCO, and, good ball players come from everywhere. Like I've played, with guys from NAIAs and D2s and D3s, and if you're good, they're going to find you. So I kind of like that, the under the radar thing. But I did see that, and it's cool. It's cool getting some recognition and seeing your hard work pay off. So
you see that recognition for yourself, and I know talking with the guys that have been on this podcast before, talking to them in person, it seems like a lot of the guys in the organization are very tight knit and very close. I mean, how do you kind of keep up with the other guys? You probably had some friends that college guys moving up a little bit quicker just because they're older. How do you keep in touch with them as they kind of go into Corpus and Sugar Land?
Yeah, man. It is definitely a tight-knit group for sure. I got close with all the guys in my draft class whenever we had first gotten drafted. And then last year, at the end of the year in Fayetteville, some of the guys from the 24 draft class came up, and I was one of the only 23 guys that was still there. So I got tight with all them, and I kind of knew everybody coming into spring training, and those guys, the 23 class and 24 class, just kind of merged, and now everybody's tight. So yeah, I mean, it's cool. Like all the guys are close. I mean, you're around these guys more than your family. So I mean, it's 7-8 months out of the year, so you learn to get close with them, and we all hang out all the time. So Chase Jaworski's my roommate. Me and him have gotten pretty tight. So, but yeah, it's cool being around all the guys all the time.
So obviously you play, one of the most important positions on the field at catcher. How do you feel have you grown as a catcher this year?
Most of it, defensively and stuff, definitely gotten a lot better. Put in work this offseason, put in work in spring training. We got a great staff of catching coaches that I've been working with. And then, a lot of it is, being, connecting with your pitching staff, knowing them. Game planning, that's a big part of it. I feel like I've improved in that part of it a lot, because that's the biggest part of it is having a plan going in, knowing your pitchers. Like I tell our pitchers sometimes, like your catcher knows your stuff better than you do. Like 'cause we catch those guys all year, so just getting to know them, catching bullpens in spring training, getting to know their pitches, and coming into the season, and having a good game plan going out there.
And I know you've played a lot of first base as well. That's probably the most you've played in your career to this point, but how's that transition been, kind of getting more comfortable at first base?
It's been good, man. I like playing over at first base, so it's cool. Get out behind the plate a little bit and play some first base, having some positional versatility. So your best ability is availability. So I'm willing to play wherever to help the team win. So,
and I got a follow up to that. I saw you had posted some pictures on Instagram, and one of them was like a full on stretch. Is that something you work on, like being agile like that to do a full stretch at first?
Yeah, I never really played. Last year, towards the end of the year, I started playing some first base, and could kind of get out and get some balls, stretch a little bit. But no, I mean that's something. I'll stretch. Obviously, being mobile is important. But that's something like that I can really only do when I'm on the first base bag. Like if I'm, just sitting around and I try and do that, that's not something that I can really do. But if I'm over at first, I can. So, yeah.
Jimmy has another question here in a second about that availability that I think you'll be happy to answer. But before we do that, one more serious one, just on the catching side. I mean, you've shared a locker room with a lot of good catchers in the Astros system. I mean, what have you kind of picked up from those guys, and any specifics? The things you picked up just behind the plate, how to approach the games from those guys that are a little bit older than you?
Yeah, especially spring training is the best time for that. Just being around all those guys, we're all, the 10 pack is what we call it, where all the pitchers throw their bullpens and stuff. And we're just all, kind of sitting over there, rotating in and out, catching bullpens. And, we do our catcher work off to the side and talk and bounce ideas off of each other. And, it's been good, especially this year, being around Walker and Garrett. Those are two great catchers, and I've learned a lot from them. So it's been cool being around those guys for sure. So I've definitely picked up a lot from them.
So talking about availability, I know last year you had one outing on the mound where you threw 2 scoreless innings. I was just looking, 14 pitches and like 11 for strikes. So you going to get another relief chance or what?
I don't think so. I don't think so this year. But that was fun getting out there. It was one of those things. It was a crazy week. We had a lot of rain come through. A reliever would get out there, throw 2 pitches, it'd start raining again. And then we went back. We were in a delay. Went back in the clubhouse, and Ricky, our manager, was like, "Hey, when we go back out there, you're going to be on the mound." So just went out there, threw a little bit, and I was like, "All right, let's do this thing. Just put it over the plate." So I told him, I was like, if I get out there, I can't lob it. Like, I got to put a little bit behind it to throw some strikes. So, went out there and just did my best, tried to put us in a position to win because it was a close game. I think it was 5-4 at the time. So, but
do you remember what how hard you were throwing?
I don't remember exactly. I know I was, I think I was like low to mid 80s. But I mean, I told them, like, when most position guys get out there and they kind of lob it, and I was like, I'm not going to throw any strikes if I just lob it in there. I got to put something behind it. So,
but see, now you can hold that over the pitchers that you're with, right? Like, hey, man, I got a 0 ERA in professional baseball.
We talk about it sometimes. Like, I'll be, throwing or something, and then someone will bring up how I pitched last year. So it's pretty funny.
I will say you did have some people convinced that probably weren't following the games. They saw the photos of you, and you looked like just a big closer just out there on the mound. I mean, you had some people convinced that you weren't actually a position player. And I was, an interesting thing. I know it happens a lot just in the lower levels of the minors, but Juan Santander, he had, some, I think maybe 1 or 2 outings. I think he even got a save.
Yeah,
so
he closed out a game for us.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah, I remember that. No, it was funny. I went out there. Our hitting coach had texted some of the people upstairs, and they put on "I'm a Real American." They put on Kenny Powers' intro song whenever I went out there to pitch. So it was pretty funny. Everybody had a good time with it. So I came back in. I was talking to Zach Wilkins, our pitching coach, and I was like, "So are we going to have a TrackMan meeting tomorrow?" And he's like, "I'm going to be honest, I didn't watch any of that."
So moving on to a couple of fun questions here, and this is one I think it's been a little while since we talked to a catcher. I guess Colin Price is probably the last one, but in your time in the Astros system from last year and this year, who's been the toughest pitcher for you to catch? Like maybe the nastiest stuff, or what would you say?
Let me think about that. Toughest to catch. I would say, with catching guys, like, none of them are necessarily tough to catch. Like, you learn them, learn their stuff. I'd say some of the dudes with some of the nastiest stuff. Bryce Mayer this year, I mean, he's nasty, man. He's got some good stuff out there. He's going to be a quick mover. He'll be in the big leagues soon, I bet. Who else? Caught a Limber Santa last year. He's good. He's got some gross stuff. Ramsey David's another one. He's got good stuff. I mean, he's 98 to 100. I mean, he throws gas. So, we definitely got very good pitching in our farm system for sure. But yeah, to answer that, I'd say none of the guys are necessarily hard to catch, but there's some dudes with some nasty stuff for sure.
You talked about Josh Hamilton, talked about being from DFW. I got to ask about the early, childhood fandom. I mean, you were kind of growing up in an era where the Astros were kind of beating up on the Rangers at times. I bet early on for you too, the Rangers were beating up on the Astros. What did that fandom look like growing up? I mean, how were the Astros kind of seen just around your family? And I mean, who did you really root for just on those teams?
In my family, I grew up an Astros fan. My everybody calls him Pappy, my grandpa. He's originally from Houston, and then they moved up when he was a kid. So he went to a couple Astros games growing up. He started taking my dad and uncle down to the Astrodome when they were kids. So then they started doing the same with me and my brother and my cousin. We went down to Minute Maid, watched some games back whenever, that the back-to-back 100-loss seasons and all that. And, I was a huge fan from the start. And obviously everybody around me liked the Rangers and, would talk some trash about me being an Astros fan and all that. I'd show up to school wearing my, Bregman and Springer jerseys and stuff. But, I've been an Astros fan since the start. So getting drafted by them was really cool. So.
Awesome. If one other fun one I got here, if there was a tool that you had to take from another, one of your teammates, one tool to take from one of them in the Astros system, what would it be? And who would it be from? Are we talking power or arm or?
Off the top of the head, it would be Chase Jaworski's speed. For sure. I've stolen a couple bags this year. I'm sure it's not on a lot of the reports that I'm a huge speed guy. So, whenever I see a chance, I'll take a bag. But, Chase.
I don't want to jinx you, but you're a perfect 12 for 12.
Oh, yeah.
7 this year, 5 last year. Perfect 12 for 12.
I find my spots, man, and I'll take a bag if they're not paying attention. But, yeah, it would definitely be Chase Jaworski's speed for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, you look at going back to Texas Tech, didn't know that about you before you went to Tyler and being committed there. Being a Texas guy, I'm sure you grew up watching football as well. Did you root for Texas Tech? Was that kind of maybe a dream growing up that you wanted to be a Red Raider? And do you kind of claim Texas Tech, right now?
No. None of my parents went to big schools. My dad played ball at the University of Texas at Arlington. But no, I really didn't grow up, rooting for any big colleges or anything. I have buddies that play for different schools. Like I had some buddies that played for UT last year. So, I'd keep up with them, and had some buddies that played for DBU and those schools. And, I'll keep up with them and root for those guys. But I never really grew up, watching, or like being a fan of any big Texas schools. I like watching college football. But I don't really have a school. Guess it'd be the Tyler Junior College Apaches, but.
All right, Will, that's all I got. Like I said, I appreciate you taking some time on your day off, especially here in the middle of the season, to chat with us.
For sure. Anytime. Thank you all.
Thanks, Will.
All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you haven't already done so, please be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. As always, thank you so much for listening. We look forward to having you back for our next episode of the AstrosFuture podcast, covering your Astros in the minor league system.